Hi, I'm Kanika Tekriwal. I run a company called Go Aviation Services. We're India's largest private jet and helicopter management and charter services business.
Meet Kanika Tekriwal, who went from battling cancer at 22 to building a rupees 500 million Uber of the skies. The CEO of Jet Set Go, Kanika grew up learning the nitty-gritty of business finance in a typical Marwari household. It was while during her MBA in London that she realized the potential of the charter flight market in India. Brimming with ideas, she returned to India to do something about it when tragedy struck. At 22, she had been diagnosed with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma. She recovered from it, but her protective parents refused to support her plan to shift to Delhi and start Jet Set Go. But Kanika put her foot down and began working on her dream. From dispatching planes to understanding how the systems worked, she did it all herself. And in just 8 months, the 26-year-old entrepreneur had won her first contract to manage 20 private jets.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Kanika.
So, as the CEO of Jet Set Go, what exactly inspired you to start this company focused on private jet services?
So I think, Kaira, I've been working in the industry since I was almost 17, 16 and a half, 17 years old. And what I realized was, this is one of the few, obviously, apart from being very, very passionate about aviation, what I realized was there was a massive gap in this industry. It was a very opaque industry. People who wanted private jets, who were willing to pay the right price for private jets, weren't getting the right service, the right quality, the right delivery, the right service. And we stepped into this to fix it, basically. And I thought there was a massive opportunity to not only improve the condition of the market, but to increase the market size. There's never a market for a product, according to me, until you create the market. And I smelled a potential for creating a great market, and that's what originally got me interested in becoming CEO and starting this company.
Okay. And Jet Set Go has gained significant traction since it started. So, how exactly would you differentiate yourself from your competitors?
So I think, I was very, very young when my father once told me, he said, don't focus on, defeating competition, focus on becoming best. And subconsciously or consciously, I think that's what we have always focused on as a company, as an organization, on what do we do tomorrow to improve the customer experience? What do we do tomorrow to, improve, to work on the environment? What do we do tomorrow to make sure the customer has the best possible flight they've ever had in their life? And I think that's what differentiates us. Our biggest differentiator is that our service is far superior than any other, service provider in the industry. Number one. Number two, we have a very, very strong focus on quality, and which goes into our safety management system. So I think aviation, the most important fundamental thing is safety. That's where the root of it all lies. And we do 29 more safety checks than any other private aviation company in India, which are not required, but we do them. And I think overall, it's always the customer is always looking for value for his money, and that's what we work to deliver. For us, it's very, very important that the customer not only be happy with the flight, but also be satisfied that what he's getting, what he's paying for, and more than what he's paid for. And I think that's what our biggest differentiator has been throughout. And we also go back to customers constantly. We ask them, what can we do to improve? What can we do to change? What can we do to become better? And we incorporate that feedback again and again, which is what always puts you a notch above the others. On the other hand, I think we're also a very conscious business. And, I'm a firm believer in ethical leadership vis-a-vis just financial leadership. I don't believe in making money as being the end goal of the business. Financial gain is, of course, beneficial to everyone. But I don't look at the business's end goal to be, create $1 billion bank account. I think the end goal over here is to create impact, to revolutionize the way India flies, to change the way people travel. And that's what we're very focused on as a company. So I think one of our biggest differentiators is that, we're very conscious of our environment. We've taken a pledge to be carbon neutral very shortly. We're working on various climate change programs to ensure that, we set off our carbon footprint and our customers don't have to worry about their carbon footprint while flying with us. That's one part of it. I think the other part of it is also we're very forward thinking in terms of creating new methods to fly to decrease customer costs for flying, which is why we're working on eVTOLs and a lot of other things.
Since my last question is sorry, my next question is how you democratize private aviation. Could you elaborate on how you make this experience more affordable?
So I think we're working on it one step at a time. I wouldn't say that it we have made it fully affordable to everyone. No, that would be a lie. I think we are trying to do that, and I think one of our first steps has been to offer a lot of empty legs on certain sectors at very very discounted rates. There are people who've flown on our private jets for as little as 10,000 rupees a seat, which is, I mean, sometimes lower than the cost of a business class ticket. On the other hand, I think the company's larger goal is to enable eVTOLs, which are air taxis, which enable basically, what do you say, intra-city travel. So not city to city, but within the city. So say if you're living in, Bombay, you should be able to go to from Juhu to Mahalakshmi in an eVTOL. And I think that's when the real democratization is going to come in, because at the cost of an Uber, we should be able to enable eVTOLs in this space.
Yeah. And if JetSat had the ability to offer flights to outer space, would you be the first to sign up for a trip?
Oh, absolutely. I'll be the first passenger for sure.
And what financial model have you adopted to attain your fleet 10 aircraft?
So I think, Kara, it's a combination of debt plus equity plus customer deposits. So we've been a bit creative on this front, and I firmly believe that if you're providing, a service to a customer, the customer should be, and the customer is happy with it, and the customer thinks you're really good at it. The customer should be willing to be vested with you. So a lot of our customers have helped us, acquire our fleet in the form of deposits or loans, etc. And we've also raised, I mean, but a majority, I would say, of our aircrafts are financed through bank financing and equity.
Okay. And as the CEO of JetSat Go, you must have encountered some interesting or unique requests from your customers. So could you share one of them?
All sorts of funny things. Yeah, once I got yelled at by a customer because he was on a particular diet and he requested for 4 pieces of cucumber cut to a certain size, and the chef put 5 pieces of cucumber not cut to that particular size, and I got yelled at for an hour. And then later, after that, I actually told him, I said, "Sir, you had a fight with your wife, which is why you're taking this out on me." And he laughed over it, and he was like, "Yeah, you guessed it right." And so that's one funny incident. But apart from that, we get all sorts of odd requests. We had a very famous celebrity from Hollywood flying with us, and we had to procure this water that is only available in some far off country, and we had to send someone to buy the water and bring it back to India. And I'm talking to you in my previous role, not at Jet Set Go, but when I was working in a different company. Then we get all sorts of weird requests for the count of the bed sheets, or for how many pillows of what gram, what size should be on board, or how many liters of water should be available on board. But I believe when you're paying top dollar for the best service, you should be able to get as much freedom and you get as much liberty to demand whatever the hell you want. We've had customers who said they don't like red, so we have removed every possible red object on the plane, because if you're paying to travel with the best, then according to me you should be able to get the best, right?
Yeah, definitely. Though the 4 cucumbers and 5 cucumbers are actually quite funny.
Exactly. He could have just removed one piece and eaten the rest, but anyway.
Yeah. So the aviation industry suffered a lot during the COVID-19 pandemic. So how exactly did JetSet Go adapt and overcome the obstacles?
So I think, Kara, according to me, none of us were really prepared for it, right?
Yeah.
And none of us were really, I mean, nobody in the world knew what was coming. And obviously, we were taken as stumped as everyone else. There were planes in different parts of the world which had to be called back overnight. We didn't know what the future was. And then the lockdown started, the first phase. And the first thing that happened after a month or so of lockdown was you were seeing aviation companies lay off people, cut salaries, fire people, all sorts of things, right? And I took a very conscious decision. I said, look, I'm not going to lay off a single person. I'm not going to reduce anyone's salary. I'm not going to put anyone through any additional mental trauma that they're already going through. And that wasn't a decision many people appreciated. You know, a lot of people, the senior people in my CXO team, a lot of board members, etc., said, "No, you shouldn't do that. Everyone else is doing this. You can carry on in the wave, etc., etc." And I said, "No, we're not going to do that because when the company was making profit, when we were doing well, did we go and tell our employees that we're going to share all our profits with you? That we have this chance to cut back on their pays or whatever." And I think that's where that was our biggest differentiator again, I would say. And that's what our teams had a lot of faith in us. Our teams had a lot of pride in us, and they came back fighting, fit to take on flights as soon as the first lockdown opened. They came back to try and conquer the world with us, which was a very I mean, I'm filled with gratitude to have seen that happen. And I think the first 6 months obviously were very, very stressful for everyone. But after that, things actually changed in the positive for us. A lot more people started flying private. A lot of people who could afford flying private earlier were not flying private before. They started flying private. So that really helped. And I think the market opened up a lot. So, in a way, it was more of a boon than a bane for us.
Yeah, that's actually kind of amazing that you helped everyone keep their jobs, because I think the aviation industry was one of the industries that suffered the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you could organize a dream vacation for yourself using Jet Set Go's services, where would you go, and which aircraft would you choose, and what activities would you plan?
I think I'm a big fan of St. Moritz. I try to go there every year as much as I can to ski. It's also got one of the most beautiful runways in the world. So I think my dream vacation would be to be able to take a jet to St. Moritz, ski the life out there for 3 days, party every evening, and come back.
And if you could choose any celebrity who would act as your co-pilot for the day, who would you choose and why?
I don't know if he's a celebrity or not, but I think I would love to have Richard Branson be my co pilot for a day because I just think there's so much to learn from him and the amount he's achieved and done. I wish I could do even the half of it. I don't think he'll ever be a boring co-pilot. I think he'll be the most adventurous co-pilot, willing to take on all the crazy risks I want to take on and entertain me throughout the way with his stories.
Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much.